Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's another edition of Let's Talk Buffs. Um, Back after not such a joyous game, Carter. This one came down to the wire. We're going to get into it, but not feeling like super excited as much as I would be if they won this. I would be on cloud nine right now if they won this Kansas State game. And I have to eat crow. Man, I thought CU was going to pull it off before the game. We both did. We came on here and we gave our predictions. We thought Colorado would win. Um, Newsflash, I still think they should have won. No, that is something I do have to say. But we'll get into all of it. Carter, how you feeling, man? Give me the vibe check. How's everything going?
Pretty good. I think losses are, I don't want to say losses are good because if you get too many losses, it's obviously bad. But a loss like this isn't the end of the world. I mean, that's a ranked team. They should have won. They definitely had the opportunity to win. They just couldn't pull it away. And I think they can finish this stretch strong. And I think they still control their destiny in the Big 12.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think that they can if they just play to their standards, they're going to win a lot of these games left. I thought Kansas State is probably their toughest opponent left on their schedule, and we'll get more into that as we go in. We're going to go into, hey, why isn't this CU's last opportunity here to even compete for a Big 12 championship? But let's rehash this game, Carter. And I want to start off, or actually, let's start off with the injuries. That's what we should start off with. That screwed us this game. When you have Travis and Jimmy out as fast as you did, and Travis, you're losing your best defender and best offensive player in a single move. It's tough to win games, man.
Yeah, and he wanted to come back in. Obviously, pretty smart that he didn't, but that just is a testament to how Travis is. But you're exactly right. I mean, me and David talked about it on the post game show. You're losing your best corner and your best wide receiver, and when you lose your best player, it's pretty much impossible to win a game. Two of your best players, which is what Travis is, it's makes it so much even harder.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And then, so when you lose Travis, let's talk about offense. When you lose Travis on offense, hey, at least we still have Jimmy Horn and Amarion Miller. Oh, wait, no, we don't. We're down them too. Amarion was fantastic for such a big portion of that game. I have to give a shout out to him. But when you lose Jimmy and Omarion and Travis, like, damn, man, it's just a lot to ask for your team to go in there and win that football game. Amarion, obviously, he's out for the season, right? He's done for this year.
Yeah, it sounds like a broken ankle.
A broken ankle. That really does suck. I'm sure he'll come back like he was before. I don't expect anything where any. This isn't like a multi ligament knee injury we're talking about here. It's a broken ankle, so he'll come back. It's gonna be a long road to recovery, but he'll come back and he'll be the same type of guy for the Buffs here. And speaking of him, Carter, he was terrific. That's it. That's something I have to really say. They have a really talented player there in Omarion Miller. When you talk about size, speed, hands, even really, really, I think underrated yards after catch ability. You're talking about Amarion Miller. He doesn't really have a weakness to his game as a sophomore in college. He's just a terrific ball player, and he ended up finishing with 100 yards, hitting more snaps because of those two injuries we spoke about before. Just talk to me a little bit about Amarion Miller, Carter.
Dude, yeah, I think pound for pound, your most productive receiver so far this year, honestly, in opportunities
Really?
he's gotten. And I
In the
think,
opportunities, yes.
yeah, in the opportunities he's gotten, yeah. I think this guy, after Travis, I think this is end up going to be CU's highest drafted wide receiver if he stays at CU. I mean, this guy comes out in every play he is in, he makes a difference, whether it's in the screen game, whether it's yards after catch, whether it's running a beautiful route. Great hands. He had that one-handed catch on the drive where we ended up scoring with Will. Like, he played an amazing game. It sucks to lose him. I really, really hope he stays and doesn't hit the portal next year.
I don't see why he would. He has such an opportunity next year. When you talk about these, I mean, it's four guys in front of him, right? And all of them will be gone next year. Travis, Jimmy, Will, and then LeJounte. They'll all be off and doing other things, probably all of them in the NFL, truthfully. or at least getting spots in the NFL through the offseason, all of them. So I don't know why he would transfer out. He has a primetime opportunity next year to be the best wide receiver one on this team. I don't see why he couldn't be. And I'm sure this is one of those positions, the Buffs are proving it this year, where you can go hit the portal and find very productive players there. So yeah, no, I don't see why he would. I do see that sentiment a lot. It's like, why would he though, with the opportunity he has this next season? It pretty much was just like a playing time dispute, right? Like that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, just lack of opportunities at the beginning of the year when players like Will were struggling and still getting opportunities and Omarion was just waiting for his chance, and he got his chance, and now I think that argument kind of goes away with the injury. So I don't expect him to leave, but you never know in this era.
You never know. I mean, when he flashes like that and didn't get really the playing time last year, you could definitely see some tampering going on with other teams. That's one thing I'm ultimately definitely guaranteed of is Omarion Miller will be getting calls from other teams under the table this next year trying to get him at their programs. Well, how did you feel Shedeur Sanders played?
Yeah, definitely some really high highs and some really really low lows. Like I think he overall played a pretty good game. You look at the numbers, it was pretty good. Obviously, that interception can't happen. But I think a lot of these sacks were really on him, not so much the O-line. I think PFF credited him with 4 out of the 6 sacks, and I think that's pretty fair. But you just saw him scrambling and trying to make a play and getting intentional groundings and sacks he shouldn't have when the O-line was really holding up well. But overall, I thought he played a pretty good game.
Yeah, I think it's important also that we put out there that this isn't standards for Shedeur Sanders. That's the standard, right? It's not for the average college quarterback. To the average college quarterback, Shedeur Sanders still played A+ game. It's just to his standards. Man, you would love to see him not take some of those sacks, because as much as I do want to blame the O-line, and you mentioned it before the show when we were talking, Carter, as much as Coach Brian wants to blame it on the O-line all the time, I'm not so sure it always is. When Shedeur is rolling out, and sometimes he'll do that classic John Elway rollout, looking this way and I'm rolling back out the other way thing, it works a lot. He was just setting it up in some situations where it's like, that's never going to work, bro. Like, you're just running into pressure doing that. Or just drifting too far back into the pocket was another thing I noted, where it's like, oh, bro, take your 3-step drop and then take your step up, plant your foot, and get the ball out. It was 1, 2, 3, sitting duck. Okay, I'm taking a couple more steps back now. Madden dropbacks. He needs to stop with the Madden dropbacks sometimes. And that's a big reason why you're seeing some of these sacks in that game. And I thought he really improved on that pretty much in every other game this year. It just felt in this game in particular, he reverted back to what kind of we saw last year. So we got to just hope he cleans up some of that. Overall, still crazy stats, right, Carter? 34 of 40, 388 yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. Crazy stats. You get a lot of love to the wide receivers for that too, as a lot of these passes were underneath taken, and then they're creating after the catch in this football game. But overall, what would you grade that game for Shedeur?
You know, it's tough.
Standards.
Shedeur Sanders standards?
Yeah, like Shedeur Sanders standards.
You know, I still got to give it – I'm going to give him an A-.
An
I'm going to say A without the interception, A+ without the interception, and the Shedeur sacks.
Okay. I'm going to give it more of a B in my range. If I even saw some of the same stuff without the sacks just set you back so far. When you're taking the 7-yard sack, it's hard to work your way out of it. That's a drive killer. And luckily for the CU offense, so many of the players are so explosive and talented that they often do work themselves out of it. It's just on a quarterback scale, if you didn't have all these other guys, that's probably a drive killer right there. So I would give it more of a B. Again, these are Shedeur Sanders standards. So yeah, I'm saying A+ for most guys. It's a B in his standards, though. What did you think of the offensive line? You mentioned that Shedeur took so many of these sacks. 4 of the 6 is what PFF put out there. Do you think they played all right because of that in pass protection?
I think they actually played pretty solid. Watching it back, K-State's they ran stunts on like literally every single just basic pass rush. I mean,
And they never
there
did.
were guys coming from Philip Houston's edge going between Tyler Brown and Seton. And it worked with how long Shedeur likes to hold on to the ball. I mean, it was a good design, but like I think the thing that you talked about earlier with how Shedeur likes to go backwards in the pocket,
Mhm.
that is what is the problem with our low line, because we usually don't get beat off the edge. We just get pushed back. Like Philip Houston, it happens to Philip Houston a lot. He just gets pushed straight back. It happened on that sack where he pretty much just ran straight to Jordan Seaton's back. He just goes too far back and tries to step up and just gets stepped up right into our guys' backs. But I really thought the O-line played good. It's tough to grade them in the running game because the running game as a whole is just awful. But pass protecting wise, I thought they played pretty solid, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really hard when you only run 10 times, which this is all carried into the run game. So we can kind of tie both of these things in together. It's hard to pass protect when there's no threat of the run. I can tell you right now, guys, some of these PFF nerds I see online, they're like, oh, well, the running, why do teams even run the ball? The pass is so much more efficient. Have you seen how many yards per attempt people get in the pass versus the run? I need them to shut up forever. So let's start there. It's why you want to run the ball. You can be a primarily passing football team like the Buffs are, that's fine. But if you at least have the threat of the run out there, an idea where the defensive lineman can be like, hey, we can't just pin our ear backs every single time. Like we can't just go straight into our pass rush move. Like we actually have to keep gap integrity. We actually have to make sure we're stopping the run. It slows things down and it makes your passing game more effective. I bet you if Colorado, instead of, I don't even know what they average per rushing attempt. It was low though. I mean, Dallin Hayden was averaging 1.6 yards per carry, guys. This is not ideal. And then again, these are the Buffs running against light boxes. These teams aren't stacking up against the run against the Buffs. It's just they can't run the ball. So yes, the offensive line I thought played okay. I thought they played pretty good considering the circumstances, actually. That's my take. Everyone wants to say, hey, go back there and pass protect. I'm sorry. You could have some of the best offensive linemen out. If you can't run the ball and all your passing game is straight drop back, you're not going to be very effective.
No, I wanted to bring this point up too, because I think this is pretty much summing up our offensive line pass protection with Shedeur's marriage. There was a play, I think it was his first sack. We were pass protecting great, but Shedeur was in the pocket for like damn near 8 seconds, and Philip Houston literally just stopped blocking his guy, and he ran right past him and sacked Shedeur. Like right when Philip Houston stops blocking, his edge went right and Shedeur rolled right. That was his first sack. Like I think we were in the red zone, but that play right there just summed up that ugly Shedeur pocket with our O-line marriage.
Man, sometimes it just gets really ugly when you have to do this, bro. It's not good. And then when you have Coach Prime always like you said it before the show, Carter, like he rips that O line, man. And it is, I mean, it makes me laugh, but also like, come on, bro, you gotta lay off on them sometimes. How many different versions of the O line have we even seen this year? It's been unreal. Like different guys sliding in the game. Like we've probably
every game.
Yeah. We've probably seen like 9 or 10 different versions of this offensive line already this season. At some point, I do feel like the Buffs have to kind of find their group. And then even when they're struggling, stick through it and allow these guys to try to improve. Here's an idea, guys. If you want to know why the Buffs are struggling so much against stunts and stuff, it's because none of these guys have any chemistry. And the more you switch them in and out, you're not going to get any better there. You're not. Like, though, this type of stuff comes with game reps. They need game reps together. They need to improve. If you have to make one move, that's fine here and there. But like doing this revamp every week is getting exhausting. I can't do it anymore, man. I can't at all. I can't at all. The last question I have for you here on the offense, Carter, is just the running backs. Coach Prime, he alluded to it today, and we'll hit more on this next week, but Isaiah is going to be the starting number one guy on the depth chart going into Arizona week. Do you think that they should make a move like that based off of what you saw this last week, or what's your opinion on the running back room?
I think the running game has more to do more to do with the run plays we are using compared to the running backs that are running the ball. We run the most bland running plays you will find. I have never seen us use a polar. We never run out of under center. We use 12 personnel like once a game. I don't care if the defense knows you're doing it. You got to do something about this because your leading rusher having 11 yards is unbelievable. But I do think Isaiah Gustav has looked like your most efficient running back. I think I just put it as that. None of them are outstanding. Mike is a little banged up this week. We'll see if he gets more run, but I do like this move to give Augusta a little bit more run because they've waited till like the fourth quarter to give him a carry. It seems like every game, and he's made the most of his opportunities. You saw him come in at the end of the UCF game and have those big back-to-back runs. So I think this is a solid move. I don't know if it's going to fix anything because our running game is just so bland.
Well, dude, I feel like a lot of this is what we said last week. Like these guys each have individual skill sets. You don't have a lot of carryover one guy to the other. And we outlined it last week. We said Dallin's probably your best pound for pound overall in that he's good on third downs the same way he's okay on the first downs. Like he is that type of guy. He is usable in a lot of different areas. I think Isaiah is your best downhill runner type guy. And I think Micah's your best contact balance type guy. I think there's situations you can use all of these people. And my only thing is I think it should be more of a rotation. Like Dallin came back and he was he was the guy back there for a lot of this. And you kind of had to force that because of how much you wanted to pass the ball, and he's your best pass protector. Probably also your best receiver out of the backfield. It's just that whereas he got 7 carries this game, I wish it was more like 3-2-2 in that split there, in splitting up his carries. It needs to be more sporadic, and I just think all of these guys have a place to play, and then you can kind of ride a hot hand when you see one. I don't necessarily trust any one guy to just be your every down person. We don't have a DJ Giddens on this team, guys. I'm sorry, we don't. You have very talented players and capable players back there. You just don't have the workhorse. I just don't think you do, and especially behind this offensive line that is very inconsistent at best at run blocking. So, let's move over to the defense, Carter. What did you make of the defense? We obviously got ran all over, so let's start there. What did you make of the Buffs' run defense?
Yeah, man. When you have a running back going against you, dropping 182 yards, averaging 7 yards a carry, you're probably not going to be successful. It seemed like we could not tackle DJ Giddens on the first attempt at all. I don't think we could really tackle Avery Johnson, especially when we'd blitz him. He would just find a way to get out of the backfield and take off for a scramble. We struggled to tackle Dylan Edwards. And when you can't tackle, you're not really setting yourself up for success. I thought our pass rush did okay. BJ Green got 2 sacks. But running the ball, I think our D-line didn't have much push. And it was probably one of the weaker games we're going to see from this secondary. Losing Travis also affects that, but I didn't think Preston Hodge had the greatest game. Obviously, Shiloh didn't play the greatest. I thought DJ showed up at times, but probably one of the weaker games we're going to see from this defense as a whole.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought the defensive line was okay. I honestly thought the defensive line did what they could do in a game like this. It's a lot of what was happening in other games. This defensive line has never been so elite that you're seeing so much disruption up front. What it is you have a ton of very capable players on your defensive line. You don't have Aaron Donald type guy that's a game plan wrecker on this defensive line. You don't have that. I think Chidozie is obviously your best there, and I honestly thought he played pretty good. Where the issues came from are all of your second level defenders that are supposed to be there. A lot of cases were there, just not taking the guy down, like you mentioned. I think he had it was like 160 yards after contact in this game, or something like that.
Man, that is insane.
It was something like that. Yeah, it was just terrible. It was really bad tackling all around from the entire defense. I don't think you can blame it on just one player, although I do think one player played terrible. I mean, you know who I'm talking about. I had to say he didn't play good, man. He had his worst game of his career. I'll save it. But defensive line was okay. I thought the linebackers weren't amazing. I thought Bentley didn't play his best game. Even Nikai, I didn't see him blow up the play like I'm used to seeing. If you're really talking about the difference maker in this front seven, it's been Nikai this year. He's been blowing plays up, creating plays that weren't there, and they were only there because it was Nikai Hill-Green in the game, and you didn't see many of those. So, yeah, I mean, the run defense was really poor. They couldn't tackle for shit. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Actually, last point here, when I'm rambling, but we also have to give credit to the guys that play across the field. Kansas State's also just really good at running the football. They have one of the best backs in the country. DJ Giddens is fantastic. Something we talked a lot about in our pregame show. DJ Giddens is a really good player. He's going to be playing and getting actual carries on Sundays next year. That's the type of guy you're talking about there. You have Dylan Edwards. Buffs fans know about him. Give him credit. Kansas State's offensive line is good, and sometimes you just got to tip your hat to the opponents. That's a good run game.
Dude, Dylan Edwards, man, that guy was pissing me off during the game, man. I don't even want to talk about it. I just want to say that guy was pissing me off during the game. But yeah, it was just a bad game from the defense. I mean, and it sucks because we should have won that game, and it's hard to put it because that is such a good team, right? That's probably the best team we're gonna play the rest of the season. And obviously probably the best offensive talent we're gonna see in DJ Giddens. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, up until we make the playoffs, but totally agree.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Yeah. Well, I guess Teterow and McMillan is better than Giddens, but running game wise, you're right.
I think we're probably more stout and ready to stop. I don't know. Are we? It's gonna be a tough one. I can't wait to see the.
We got Travis.
Show. We got to think. Do have Travis. We do have Travis. That'll be crazy. Going to guard him on one side and go play offense on the other. That's gonna be a crazy game. If you want to talk about a Heisman moment, I should say this for the next show, but why the hell not? A Heisman moment for Travis would be shutting him down on that other side and having 100 yards on the other side. Something like that would be nuts. That would be the staple on a Heisman right there.
Doubling his yards as a receiver, with another touchdown. Yeah. How many, dude? Think of the number of scouts that are going to be at this game.
No, dude, it's going to be crazy. You got, hey, we got the word out early. These guys are healthy. Make your way down. The players are healthy. We're good to go. I have to ask you, what did you make of the defensive coordinator, the play calling there? Did you have any huge complaints? I didn't feel like I had many huge complaints. I just felt like at some point the players had to step up and play, and they didn't. That's kind of what I was.
Exactly what I was gonna say. I mean, the defense coordinator can't tackle for you. I think that kind of sums the game up right there. I didn't really have any problems with him at all. I think they adjusted in the second half fairly good. I mean, that kind of helped their comeback. But yeah, you got to execute, like you said.
Dog, I don't know. The way he was hitting those high knees before the game, he might be able to make a tackle out there for us. Going up and down the stands like he was, he might. I'm not so sure. Maybe we're wrong there. And then the last thing on the defense I have to ask you is Shiloh. I think that we would be phony, bro. I can't come on this podcast and just be phony. I can't do it. We'd be phony if we didn't at least have the conversation. I alluded to it earlier. Shiloh played his worst game I've ever seen him play. I saw a video, and he even said that. He said it was the first game he's ever played. I saw a guy on Twitter make a whole highlight video out of just Shiloh trying to tackle DJ Giddens, music in the background going crazy. Like they had the like in between cutscene clips, like they did the whole situation into the highlight video. Here's the question. I first want to know, do you think Coach Prime should have benched him? And then the second part of the question in that game. And then the second part of the question is, should he start this next week?
Should he have benched him? Yes. Did he? No, that's his son. Obviously, the worst. Shiloh's a good player. We talked about it going into the game before when we were talking about getting him back. He's a good player. So I think he should start this week. But I think that leash should be pretty short just because of how good Carter Stoutmeyer looked in Shiloh's absence. But it's tough. Like, it's hard to just, I don't know. Shiloh's a good player. Hopefully he bounces back amazing and we don't ever have to talk about this again. But it's puts Coach Prime in honestly kind of a tricky spot to balance that out. But it's what he signed up for.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think, I mean, I'm in the exact same boat as you. Shiloh is a much better player than he showed in that game. That was just his worst game I've ever seen him play. End of the story. And it was by far his worst game I've ever seen him play. He was like very not good in that game. And so because of that, he probably should have been benched earlier. I think that if that was one of those offensive linemen making those mistakes, we'd have a whole 360 turnaround. Hey, this guy's the right tackle's playing left tackle. Our center's now the long snapper and punt. Like it would have been all hell. Like it would have been scorching earth if one of our offensive linemen played to the level Shiloh did this last week. So ultimately, I do think he should have been like taken out the game for Carter. I think in that game he probably just had gave you a better chance to win based off what I saw. But with that being said, Shiloh is better than he showed in that game. So I would still play him this next week, just maybe with the shorter leash. If he's out there touching grass again, we probably need to pull him out.
If it was DJ Giddens, if I don't know who the Arizona running back is. I haven't dove into Arizona, but they're obviously headlined by Teteroa McMillan. If the Arizona running back is making him touch grass, it's done. It's wraps.
We can't do it. We can't do it. We cannot do it. Can't do it. But hey, I say all of this to say that it's not the end of the world. The Buffs are okay. Just to put it in perspective for everybody before we go down this rest of this thing, I was messaging some people about this weekend. A year ago, if you were telling me that the Buffs are going toe-to-toe with the number 18 team and were really putting up a fight and to the point where they had an opportunity to win it late in the game, and they had plenty of other opportunities to go out and win the game, be like, man, the Buffs really improved. So I can't be mad at it. I feel like the only reason we have these expectations on the Buffs in comparison to what another school would be looking at to rebound from a four-win season, the only reason is because it's Coach Prime coaching football teams. That's the only reason. Otherwise, you're just looking for season over season improvement, which the Buffs are clearly showing. And this Kansas State game showed no different. This Buffs team is way better than they were the year before.
I think you look at this K-State game alone, and you said like you're the 19th, whatever they were ranked team.
Yeah.
Add on to that, losing how many guys we lost over the course of this game. We were a play away from being in it without Travis for majority of the game.
That's crazy.
That is crazy in itself. So I mean, the expectations with this team by the national people and the fans is always going to be crazy because it's Dion, like you said. But I don't think they're out of it by any means. I think when you got Shador Sanders at quarterback and Travis Hunter on the field, I think you have a chance to win every game.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. And ultimately, I'm just proud of this football team. I think they played their heart out. Even in this last game, I thought they played their heart out. I really did. They just weren't making the plays all the time. I still thought they were playing really hard, and they're going to rebound this next game. I didn't look at it and be like, hey, man, this is an effort issue. They're giving up. Nothing like that. They went toe-to-toe with the number 18 team in the country, with a running back that's going to be playing on Sundays next year. Damn good football team, and gave it their all and should have took the game. So props to the Buffs. I was really pissed off that night. I was in my bed, like hands on my head, bro. It was like I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be such a long week. I'm gonna have to like delete the YouTube because the For You page is gonna be fucked up. I can't look at any of those. Like I was going through the circumstances in my head. Like, what am I gonna do all week? We gotta cut out sports completely. At least I got the Broncos tomorrow. Oh wait, it was just all bad. So I had to recenter myself, and we're cool. Hey, here's the next part of the question. Did are the Buffs still contenders for the Big 12 championship, or was that just kind of out the window? You got that conference losses, no more.
I don't think so. No, I think you got to win out though. You got to win out and probably hope some other teams lose. I think there's probably only one team, if not any, that end conference play with no losses. Big 12 is kind of solid throughout. There's no like glaring, yeah, this is definitely the top team. They're for sure going to win this conference. So and anything can happen. But I think they still control their destiny. I think they'll finish the season solid, and I think there's definitely still a good chance we'll see them in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I think there is a shot too. I mean, that was kind of the game where you can no longer play around for sure. You can't play around. You cannot play around with any team left, and we're talking about Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. You probably, if you want to compete in that, I'd say you probably have to win all of those games to still like be in contention for that. There is an opportunity where if you lost one more, you could maybe compete in that, but I think the Buffs better win out. But it's not the end of the world because I think Kansas State's better than all of these other teams. I really do feel like that. Utah, I thought they were going to be really good. They look like a mess. They really do. Cam Rising, man,
Done for the year.
Out for the year. He'll be back next year, which is crazy. He's going on his 50th year of college, man. He's going, bro. He's gonna leave college as a doctor with his doctorate or something. It's crazy. But
8 years, bro. 8 years.
Yeah, it's nuts. Imagine if we got 8 years of Travis.
Oh my God, bro.
We need to. He has 8 years. 8 years in college football. That's not okay. I think my take. We need to end that. But yeah, Utah looks like a mess. Kansas is underperforming this year drastically. Oklahoma State, that quarterback. No offense to him. That's one of the worst arms I've ever seen in college football. Have you seen him play, Bowman?
I have seen him try to move, and it's not very pretty. They have Ollie Gordon. That's about all I know about Oklahoma State.
Dude, this is the actual truth. Usually we joke about this. I think Mario Vintanzi has a better arm than Bowman. I'm not. It's that bad. But anyway,
I gotta go watch this dude, bro.
You really do. It's like what it is, bro. Is Peyton Manning that last year? That's what Bowman is. It's that last year Peyton Manning. Yeah, but no, not the end of the world. Just slandering and rambling now. But yeah, and anything else you want to get off your chest before we end this episode, Carter?
I will say, in the grand scheme of things, I think Buff Nation kind of crashed out after this loss.
Content
We obviously
created deeping is crazy.
Ethan over at Walk On.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, obviously losing Travis and Shador is going to suck. We'll never have players that good in this program again. But we are in Prime's second year, and he has not had a up to prime level of high school recruiting class. I think that ends up being this class, 2025.
A lot of momentum.
This thing is like we're in. I think you could consider this a developmental stage of the program, and the fact that we are still in Big 12 play. Obviously, we have the stars on our team, but we just got to look at this thing from more of a grand scheme at times than a lot of Buff Nation does. So it is literally only up from here. I mean, think about where we were last year, the year before that. Don't even get me started. But just enjoy this time. Enjoy Travis being on the team. Enjoy Shador, because it really is a good time to be a Buff fan.
It really is. It's fun. It's fun, especially as a person that's been rooting for this team for a while. This is about as fun as I've had rooting for this Buffs team right now. So it is fantastic. I want to recommend everybody, please like, subscribe, put your notifications on this. Carter and I try to go live twice a week. That's our goal right now. We're aiming for a release on Wednesday morning and then a release on Friday morning type thing. Then Carter is live with David Talks Buffs after the games for post game. If you guys want to tune in for that, Carter's been killing it. I'm really happy with the product we're putting out here. So please help us out and subscribe. But until next time, guys, go Buffs.
Go Buffs.